So this is going to be a tutorial on third angle to axonometric drawings for Edesgn 100. So the way I do it is that I have 6 basic steps that I follow each time, and that's how I get the object. Step 1. Split the shape into different shapes. Examples, rectangles, squares, triangles, other objects like that. Step 2. Count the blocks from the third angle to each shape and take notes. This will be used later to be able to see the dimensions for the axonometric drawing. Step 3. Draw the backmost shape first. This tends to be the shape in the back. It tends to be a rectangle, as that seems to be the shapes that are the largest and have the most background space, but it could be something else. Step 4. Add on shapes from back to front. So you go from the shape that you've just drawn, add on shapes, and start erasing as you go. Step 5. Draw in the hidden lines, center lines, etc. And step 6. Add line weights, for example, darken the outside. As I go through these examples, I wish that you would pause the recording after every step and follow me. This is going to be the most efficient way for you to learn how to do the drawings, and will be the best use of your time as you will learn the procedure. Example 1. This is a fairly simple example with not that many shapes, and this will be used to get a baseline, and then we will go through a more complicated example after. So as I go through step by step, you can see. Step 1, identify the shapes. As you can see here, there's only rectangles and squares, so that's what I wrote down. Step 2, I looked at the third angle and saw that the width was 6, the height was 4, and the length was 4. Step 3, drew out the backmost shape, which in this case is the rectangle, or the square, sorry. So I drew the square in the back. Step 4, add on shapes from back to front. So what I did is, I started adding on rectangles and squares, and then each time I had something where the lines would overlap, I would erase the lines so that it would just look as one fluid object. Step 5 to 6, add in the hidden lines, as you can see, and then darken out the complete exterior of the shape to give the line weights some proper definition. So that's example 1, fairly simple. Example 2 is a little bit more difficult, as it has different types of shapes and it has more complex features to it. But we go through the same procedure. Step 1, identify the shapes. In this final object, we have rectangles, triangles, and cylinders. Step 2 is a little bit more complicated this time, since we have to find the dimensions for each of those shapes. So the rectangle I can see is 12 by 6 by 3. The triangle height is 6, base is 6, and the depth is 1 to 2, depending on where we are in the triangle. And then the cylinder, the diameter is 2, and the length is 4. So that information is all going to be used later. Step 3, backmost shape. So in this case, it's the rectangle for me, so I'm going to draw that. Once I have that in, I'm going to draw in the triangle by putting in little dots where I know values are, and then continue by filling out the shapes of the triangles. Of course, I erase the lines that overlap with the rectangles so that it looks as if I was actually viewing this object from this angle. Same thing with the cylinder. Draw on the circle first, bring it out, length of 4, draw on the second circle, and then connect the lines. And then, of course, erase the lines that overlap so that it looks like one fluid shape. Then steps 5 and 6, add in all the hidden lines and center lines. There are a lot in this example, so take your time and make sure you get all of them. And then outline the whole shape, so the outermost line, and make sure that you have the line weights properly done. Okay. Thank you for watching my tutorial on axonometric drawings. If you still have any questions or concerns, I would go ask a professor or a TA and try to get those resolved as soon as possible.